Morning. And good morning, everybody. And thank you very much, Eleanor, for the invitation to come and speak to you all today. Over the next 20 minutes, we'll just give you a flavour of some of the things that we've been doing in Crawley over the last year or so in making Crawley a more dementia-friendly town. And what we've got to say today isn't that we've done it all. We're just starting on this journey, and I think the small steps thing was very important. It's exactly what we're trying to do, to take small steps to making things better. But if I just cast my mind back, the work of the Crawley Health and Wellbeing Partnership in Crawley and the CCG have worked together, or it's practice-based conditioning actually, for the last 4 or 5 years to look at integrating our services better with well-being. So that's integrating beyond health and social care, but actually integrating with the well-being services of the town. And we have now got a well-being service in Crawley that looks at delivering well-being activities and services for people, and that's very much connected to the primary care and social care system. Dementia has been on our list of things that we wanted to do to improve in the town for about 4 or 5 years, and I guess beyond that, if we cast our minds back. And what I discovered was that there was lots of energy for actually making a difference, but most of the conversations were taking place within professional groups. So what we decided to do was try and bring those groups together to have a slightly different conversation about how we can change things by working better together. And that included the wider system. So our boundary in terms of our work is the wider system. It is the community itself. It is the business community. It is the public services that you might not expect, such as environmental health, cultural services and others, working together to improve dementia in the town. Now, you might not recognise that as Crawley, but it's just my rather cheesy way, and forgive me for that, of illustrating some of the work and our approach to creating a dementia-friendly Crawley. And I think Eleanor said it was easy actually to get the people in the room today, and I suspect you could have got even more if you had a bigger venue, because actually people do connect with dementia. When I went out to talk to businesses, there was always someone within the group, within the organisation, that had a personal connection with dementia. So therefore people connect on a personal basis. And we all know that work is contractual, but effort is actually personal. And I think that's really important to think about that, because people are putting a lot of effort in this, way and above their work position and their role that they actually have. So that's one of the things. And you might recognise this, some of you, as being the Matterhorn. And there's a village at the bottom of the Matterhorn on the Swiss side, which is Zermatt. And I think the analogy that I would like to use is that often with people in the village talking about, we must improve dementia, we must improve, how are we going to do that? It's so complex and so on and so on. Actually, the key to our movement and getting on our route has been creating that shared vision and shared values. And the mountaineers that climb the Matterhorn don't do it all in one go. The night before they go up, there's a little hut on the right-hand side of this picture, which you probably can't see, where they stay overnight before they ascend to the summit the next morning. And I think where we are in Crawley now is that we have a whole range of stakeholders across the wider system that are actually in the hut. And that's important because actually, if you're going to climb the mountain, if you're staying overnight, you'd probably have quite a sleepless night, wouldn't you? But actually you would know in the morning that's what you were going to do, and you're going to work together to actually do that. And that's exactly where we are in Crawley, and that is much broader than the health and social care system. It includes businesses, it includes hairdressers, it includes the local college, local schools, all signed up to pledge to make a difference and a commitment to actually make Crawley a more dementia-friendly town. And it was amazing the response that we had when we asked people to engage in this. You know, lots and lots of organisations actually making a personal commitment to train their staff, to do things differently, to make safe environments for people with dementia, to invite people with dementia into the local college, for the students to actually work with people with dementia, because when those students actually leave the college, they go and work in the hairdressers or in the beauty salons and so on across the town. So again, it's creating that awareness, which is so important. I think the Prime Minister's challenge and the challenge fund that was run by the SHA was fantastic for us and great timing, because there's nothing like a deadline to actually galvanise people together to get something to do, to do something. And we very much welcomed the opportunity to bid for some funds to help us along their way. And we were successful in securing some funding to do that. But in a sense, it's not the money that was important. The important thing is that we actually managed to bring people together in a more coordinated way and a rapid way to make that difference. The other thing I would say is that this is not about a deficit budgeting exercise. A lot of people and councillors were saying to me, well, isn't this going to cost a lot of money to do this? Well, no, actually. It's an asset-based planning exercise. The assets of the town are huge. That could be buildings, it can be the environment, the parks, the open spaces and so on. But the greatest asset in the town we've discovered is actually the people and the commitment that people have, because they will connect to dementia in a personal way, most people. Just going back to that point about work is contractual, but effort is personal. This is a vision that's been crafted by many, and it's a bit like doing a logo by committee in a sense, a vision, isn't it? But I think what this sums up is that what we're talking about here, it's all about compassion. And we hear a lot about, I'm sure we hear a lot about compassion in care and in health today. But actually what this programme is about is a compassionate community in the wider sense, and that's what we're aiming to achieve. And we've got a number of ambitions as part of this. The first is to create a dementia alliance, or a number of alliances, to keep this going and to make it sustainable. And Anita will talk more about that in a moment. The second area is to ensure that the people with dementia themselves and their carers and their families actually are empowered to describe what a dementia-friendly Crawley is to them. And again, Anita will give a bit more detail about that in a moment. But the raising awareness more generally is already happening in Crawley. You know, people are stepping up to make that difference. So the awareness is actually changing. We also want to ensure that it's not just about the condition. It's about how we help people to enjoy the things they actually enjoy doing. So in terms of improving their health and well-being, it's absolutely key to this programme. And lastly, we have an ambition of keeping people in their own homes for as long as possible. And to do that, we need to make sure we've got the right support structures and the right sorts of communities around them to help them to do that. So I'll just pass over to Anita.
Thank you, Malcolm. Am I going to go the right way? Yeah, there we go. Malcolm said it's about the people in Crawley. Well, it's about actually raising awareness about dementia. One of the things when Malcolm invited this great big group of people to get together and talk about what we could do about dementia, one of the things we realised is that while there are a lot of people who are touched by it and do understand it and do know something about it, there are lots of other people who don't. And for those of you who might be as old as I am, there used to be a time when people were really afraid of cancer. and probably people are still very afraid of cancer, but there's a lot more knowledge about it and the various forms about it and what treatments there are and things like that. So the first thing that we talked about really was trying to raise awareness about dementia so that there wasn't a stigma attached to it. And that's the aim, if you like, is normalisation. It's a really funny, strange phrase, normalisation, isn't it? But it was to try and create a situation where if someone is living with dementia or someone's caring for someone who's living with dementia or has someone in the family who has dementia, that it's just a normal situation, that people do understand what dementia means and what that's going to entail and therefore what support you can give. So our aim in creating our CRAWLEY Dementia Alliances was to get a normalisation of the situation by raising awareness, and it needed community effort. Because although there are an awful lot of people who do know about dementia, there are an awful lot of people who don't and don't understand it. And in CRAWLEY we have a very mixed, diverse community. And people, different cultures, different faiths, have different approaches to these things. And so this normalisation aspect of it is a challenge to make it the same for everybody, really, that everybody understands. And there is the support that's needed in order that people living with dementia, their carers and their families can live ordinary lives, basically, whilst they're going through this. Now, if you can imagine this great big room of people, imagine you were all part of our alliance. How would you control this? How would you set some direction? And it's been really important that we have the professionals guiding us, that there is something that brings us together, a programme, a step-by-step thing that we can do, because we've all got different ideas about what might be a good thing. And it's trying to get that energy moving together and forward. And in many ways, that's very much about having some tools and focusing on what it is we're going to do. So awareness training, for instance, is an example of that. Who's going to make that available? So the Town Centre Partnership, for instance, were very keen to be part of the Alliance, and they pledged, as Malcolm said, that their staff would find out about it, would train, would find out what they could do to help when people came into the town. So the tool became the dementia awareness training, of a different nature perhaps to the training that you might have when you're in the NHS or in social care, but the training nonetheless that will help you in the community support other people in the community. CRAWLEY is a new town. I always think that's a funny expression now, because 1940s, wasn't it? Late 1940s, early 50s, the new town movement began. But it was set up on the basis that it has 13 local neighbourhoods. I think we had only 12 or maybe 11 to start off with, or maybe even 9, but it has grown, CRAWLEY, there's no doubt about it. It gave us an opportunity when we were looking at the alliances, because I said you've got to try and direct where it is you're going, and you've got to try and find what those small steps might be. Having 13 different local neighbourhoods where they have a GP surgery, where they have a pub, where they have some local shops, where they have a school, where they have a number of things that are local to that community, a community centre and things like that, enables us to say, well, actually, we could start in a couple of areas. We don't have to do it all across CRAWLEY in one go for our 100,000 people. We can do it in one of our neighbourhoods to begin with. And that's one of the other things that helped us, think about the step change. Malcolm said I was going to go on and talk about the dementia voice. And that's another thing that helped direct our effort. Again, all of us come to the table with some views, some experiences, some knowledge about how we could do things. But we did need to have some prioritisation, some direction for what we should do first, and giving people who live with dementia an opportunity to talk to us about the things that they would think would make a difference, the things that they could do to help make a difference too, so that they could be part of that effort, became a really important factor. And we've been very lucky that we're supported in the CRAWLEY Dementia Alliance by the CRAWLEY Forward Thinking Group, who are a group of people who live with dementia and are supported to tell us about the sorts of things that they would like to see happening. Just simple things like being able to go to the pub, or being able to go to a football match, or a number of other things, just catch a bus by themselves, are the sorts of things that were coming up. But they're supported by our local Alzheimer's Society, and they've come up with some fantastic work to support the Alliance work and to direct the Alliance work and to work with us so that we can tell their stories. We've also been helped by the Discuss and Discover group of Age UK, West Sussex, and the local branch in CRAWLEY. Again, a group of people, older people, some of them living with dementia, some of them not, but guiding us as to the sorts of things that would be, a good idea. And as Malcolm said, one of the things that's helped us to do this and to put these things together has been the funding that we've got from the Strategic Health Authority. So we will be able to document their stories and share them as a way of raising awareness of not only dementia, but of things that people would like to do. And we're expressing their ideas and their words, and it's for their benefit, as I've put on the slide here. But what's been astounding, I think, for a lot of us is that it's not just about, if you start focusing on dementia, it's not just about the benefits that you get for the people living with dementia, their families and carers. It's actually the benefits you get for the whole community, because people do like to give, people do like to be involved, and people do like to think they're making a difference, and you're giving them a focus for being able to do that. Now I'm going to hand you back to Malcolm, if I may, and he's going to take you on to a special aspect of this. Thank you.
I'm just looking at Eleanor. We need to be quite brief now, don't we, I think? Okay, we will be. I mentioned earlier that this wasn't just about the condition, it's about living your life. And it's about the well-being of people with dementia and their families to actually live their lives better, as best they can. And the New Economics Foundation a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, produced 5 ways to well-being, which was to help individuals to think about their own well-being. It's a nice framework. And these are the five areas. And we think it's really important to consider these for people with dementia, and to consider the little bit of help that people might need to actually achieve these things. One of the things that I noticed was with my mother who had dementia, she was a very sociable woman, and went to the WI, helped out the stroke club, out all the time, went on holiday and so on with friends. Was very quickly, as the dementia and her memory worsened, her social circle diminished very, very quickly, and she became quite isolated and only really had contact with, a few friends, but immediate family in her own home. And I think the more we can do to help people to connect through collective participation and so on, the better, actually, because from the evidence is out there, isn't it? If you connect and you're not socially isolated, your well-being and your health is very much improved. And it's no different for anyone else, but with people with dementia, they need more help to connect to others. There's no reason why people with dementia should be not physically fit. Many people with dementia are very fit. So the more we can do to keep people active by healthy walks and so on, the better. But clearly, as you have dementia, the opportunities begin to diminish to take part in maybe your chosen activity, maybe swimming or playing golf or rock climbing, whatever it might be. It starts to become more difficult, doesn't it? And I think a dementia-friendly environment and community is about making things easier for people. I often think how many people in care homes actually notice the change in the seasons. They don't. Many people living in care homes do not know whether it's summer, winter, autumn or spring. And I think, again, this is something that we need to recognise in people in terms of people's well-being. It's noticing those things that can really help people. It's noticing that the birds are singing. It's noticing that the leaves are turning a different colour and falling off the trees. Just because you've got dementia doesn't mean to say that you should stop learning. It might be that you want to learn something new because you've got more time you've got more time to do so. It might be that you want to rediscover something that you did in the past. And again, a dementia-friendly town is about making sure that people have those opportunities. And the last point here is about giving. Just because you have dementia doesn't mean to say that you haven't got a role to play in contributing to the wider community. And that could be something to do with dementia and telling your story and having a view about what could be better for other people with dementia in following generations. But it could be a simple smile. It is about making sure that we recognise things are really important for people living with dementia. So it's not all about the condition. Yeah, we want to make sure that we put things in place that help people to do the things they enjoy. We'll be very brief, Eleanor, I promise now. Eleanor asked us to think about some of the things that we've reflected on as part of the process. And I'll whiz down mine and then Anita will share hers with you. I think the importance of shared purpose, really important, that personal connection. Work's contractual, effort is personal. And it's the effort, the energy that you can get in the system from this by creating a shared purpose, getting people halfway up the mountain and knowing they're all facing the same direction. We've discovered many unknown assets in doing this by integrating and engaging beyond the health and social care system. The local hairdressers, the local park that wants to be more dementia friendly, the town centre that wants to create a safe environment for people that have got memory difficulties. Many, many assets, but most importantly, the people, actually, that are committing to make Crawley a better place for people with dementia. Discovering unknown partners. If you start to have conversations with others broader than the people, your usual suspects you meet on a Monday, then meet again on a Friday, you'll begin to have a different conversation and discover different ideas to help you on your way. Discovering unknown leaders. Interesting thing is I was off work a few weeks ago for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I was thinking, oh my dear, this everything's going to stop because I'm not there. We've all got this sort of view of ourselves that we're indispensable. Well, I got back to work and went into our Dementia Alliance meeting. I said, well, what's been happening? I was thinking, nothing's happened. So many things have been going on without me. I thought, well, that's fantastic, isn't it? Felt a bit, but that's fantastic. That's exactly what needs to happen because you've got the energy in the system, people are committed, and things are happening anyway. It's got a sustainability about it. And the last thing I'd like to say is that you could very easily get, an expensive firm of consultants to come in and write a nice document for you about a dementia-friendly Crawley. We're not doing that because I believe very strongly, and others in the Alliance believe, if you build it yourself, it will last. It will last. It needs to be sustainable. The energy needs to be within the communities and the system itself. And if you do that, it will last.
I think it's probably the wrong way round that I'm coming on next, but just very, very quickly, I'm a practical person. As far as I'm concerned, what brought us together is that there had to be a potential gain for everybody out of this, and people had to know what that is, and you have to do a bit of selling to persuade people to come and join you sometimes. And once they're there and they're committed, if they have come along, then it does mean that they're giving 100%. But the Strategic Health Authority's offer of some funding definitely helped bring people together. And, you know, we shouldn't ignore that aspect of it. There was a real opportunity there to put some money behind making a difference. But it's also important not to make any assumptions about what people will or won't do. It is about giving everybody an opportunity to contribute what they can and say what they can do, rather than making any assumptions. And this bit about making use of what's available, the Strategic Health Authority were brilliant in saying, don't be inventive, use what's there, be quick, you know, take it and adopt it and adapt it. Don't just think you're going to be the first person who's ever done this. And I think that was really important part of making our alliance work well and quickly. Respect for everybody in the partnership. Everybody's got something they can contribute. It's just a question of finding out what it is and giving them an opportunity to do it. And then inclusiveness. Credit to Malcolm. You know, he always says, we did things whilst he was away. Well, you know, he inspires us to do so, because what he says is, shall I do this, or would you like to do that? Or is it going to be all right if I do this? Or would you like to? I think inclusiveness is what keeps the alliance going. We all feel we're part of something. So thank you very much for listening to us. Thank you.